Humans of the cardboard, it's time we do one final Animation Chronicle discussion video talking about what you guys want to see from the rest of the Animation Chronicle reveals here. I believe we have 5 or 6 cards. No, we have more than 5 or 6. Maybe it's more like 6 or 7. I can't remember exactly what it is. But we have over 20 cards left as far as new cards go, at least. We don't know for sure, but usually they do 30 brand new cards in every Animation Chronicle to go over. And there's a bunch of stuff here. I did that poll the other day. If you participated, thank you so much for that. This is almost entirely comprised of your guys' comments, so that's really exciting. I've never really done something quite like this before, so I like that interactivity between us. So yeah, these are all your guys' suggestions. I went through and I found hopefully some of the stuff that's the most important things that some of your comments were about. We're going to start with the bigger things, and to me the biggest thing you can look for in an Animation Chronicle set is what is the new archetype going to be. Generally speaking, Konami takes one anime archetype and puts it in like a full archetype with like full wave, a full first wave into an Animation Chronicle. Last year we got the Earthbound Servant cards. You could say Earthbound was already an archetype, but let's be honest, those older Earthbound cards, the Earthbound Immortals, those do not work with like the new Earthbound cards. It's like an entirely separate archetype. So I look at it as an entirely different thing. We've gotten G Golem in the last couple of years in these in the deck build packs and so on and so forth. So looking at it from that standpoint, what could that final archetype be, or that one archetype be? Usually there's only one. Big fan favorite one is the armor cards. This is from the Oric Calos arc where this guy duels against Joey. He plays Oric Calos. There you go. That hopefully sums that up. A bunch of armor cards, a bunch of pieces of armor that can combine into one fully like built up monster. I would hope that could be built where like maybe the fully built monster is an extra deck monster, and they kind of do some kind of contact fusing, you know, maybe even some ABC stuff. These could work as union cards. I can see them going a couple different directions with it, but this is definitely one I see all the time whenever we talk about anime cards turning into real cards. Next up here, Armatos Legio. This is the field spell. For some of these, it'd take too long to go through the entire archetype, so I found one good card. In the anime, they have a Rhoda field spell. I mean, how Yu-Gi-Oh! Is that for 2024? Yeah, this archetype seems kind of crazy. I know people have said, like, the one spell they have that lets them, the Arrows card, is out of this world broken. I don't know. There's definitely some cool stuff here, but everybody's always liked the design for this archetype and some of the ideas behind it, that it's like a military-esque force, and the way you kind of like align your monsters on the field is supposed to be like military strategy type stuff, and you attack and defend in those ways. They would just, some of those cards are really bad, and it's you know, and you have to take everything with a grain of salt from the anime because they're not playing modern day competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, so they usually won't translate those cards one-to-one. But, you know, maybe give them some slightly better cards, whereas instead of having battle protection, it's a little imperm negate type thing. And you know, you meet in the middle there. But, yeah, that's cool. I'd love to see it. This is one that people have been banging on the door for years as well. Next up, Oric Calos. We have like a couple of Oric Calos cards, but this is a full-on archetype. From the anime, they're like, I think the final boss from that season plays like a full-on Oric Calos deck with like almost Exodia-esque like Oric Calos pieces, and we don't really have them. We have that one big boss monster. Technically Oric Calos is a card, but there's a bunch of other cards there, so that's a main boss for an anime arc from the original series. Kind of surprised it's not been printed yet. That's definitely something they could go as well. Storm Rider, another Vrain's archetype here. I showed this card because this card is insane. This effect is so dumb. But here, it just says when your opponent activates a monster effect, send this card from your hand to the graveyard and negate it. It's just Ash, but better in like every way. You don't need to negate specific effects. You can negate literally any activated monster effect. I would assume if they were to print Storm Riders and attempt at making this card printed as well, they may do something where it's like, maybe it's an in-archetype searchable hand trap, where it's like, if you control a Storm Rider card, this is live. But, you know what I mean? Like, you can't just have this generically come out. But it does show you that even if the archetype gets this, and even if it needs a Storm Rider, that's a really strong card to have just floating around your archetype there. So cool stuff. Another one of the Ignis characters that people want to see. Wind Ignis. Cool. Next up, Thorn Prisoners. They have a couple cards. They're not that interesting, to be honest. There was only like 4 or 5 cards that were really relevant to the archetype. They don't really do much, right? They put some counters. They burn a little bit. There's nothing too crazy here. It's a little bit creepy with the thorn stuff, wrapping people up, but nothing out of this world. But we don't really have much of it, so that's cool. Ancient Dragon is a weird one. This is technically an archetype, I believe, because I believe Yugi's grandpa in the... I don't even know what you call this arc, but the one with, I believe, Siegfried von Freud. It's not Freud, is it? Siegfried von Schroeder. That arc, where it's like kind of like a tournament, a new tournament. Yugi's dad is like dressed up and he plays this weird archetype, and he plays this guy, big ancient dragon guy. He plays a couple of like golem cards. And I don't think any of those cards have been printed. Somebody commented that. I didn't even realize that. That's been so long since I watched that season of the anime, but that's kind of cool. That'd definitely be something that's kind of interesting. Hyr Drive's another Vrains archetype, just because they're the newest ones. They have a couple archetypes that people really want. This archetype has a million link ones, so it's an interesting archetype if it's decent. I mean, easiest way to make any archetype decent is give them a strong link one, and we've got a million here. Drones. I will say the one thing about drones is every single time I've read through the drone cards, they're like all terrible. Not all of them. There's some that are like okay, but most of them are absolutely garbage. But still, they're exciting. They have a link one. There's some stuff. There's some stuff there, but like obviously they would definitely have to transfer some of those cards to modern day Yu-Gi-Oh. All right, now we get to the support stuff, and a lot of this is going to be pretty popular archetypes, but it is what it is. Phantom Knights. They're missing a couple cards. This card's not particularly amazing, but it's another one of those traps that summons as a monster, so that's kind of cool. This is the big one. This is the one that, like, I mean, I got like 5 comments from that post that everybody was like, you're right. We need more ninjas. Jean-Claude Magnum is from the Battle City, which is some people's favorite Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc of all time. He appears in Duel's My Valentine because he wants to, you know, take her to the bedroom. I don't know. I don't know what's going on with that. But anyway, he plays ninjas, and he plays... These 2 cards are the most interesting ones to me. There's a couple other ones, but they're kind of... I mean, it's not a super long episode, but it's like a full episode he gets. This is his boss monster, Ninja Master Shogun, who can special summon himself if you at least have his 2 main ninja cards in the graveyard. Not too crazy. And then when this card is summoned, you can special summon a ninja, katana, and a kabuki from deck. So if those are decent engine cards and all you have to do is like get them engraved, this guy can jump out of the hand and then you summon 2 more. That's a pretty good spamming card. And this card, I mean, listen, it's pretty generically written here, but when this card is summoned, you can special summon a ninja monster from your hand or deck. I mean, imagine special summoning Hanzo. That's a pretty dang strong... Or honestly, there's other ninjas too, but even just a 1 card, 2 bodies, 2 ninja bodies matters for where we are in modern day ninja, you know, business. So both of these cards could be huge. I really think ninjas are kind of still on the cusp. They're floating around, and I'd love to see them get one more nice wave of some of these anime cards. Ojamas get have a bunch of cards that still aren't printed. None of them really impressed me. I mean, I'm sure these are pretty close anime translations, but they definitely have to like pick up some of them. I think the Oja Mech would be really cool. You know, the Mech Ojama King would be really cool to get, especially if they actually give him like a decent boss monster-esque effect and they can get to him kind of easily. That'd be really, really cool. Apparently, Arcana Force is missing a ton of cards. I am so happy Konami did not put Arcana Force in the most recent Legendary Duelist. That would have been an absolute travesty, in my opinion. So I'm very happy they made that decision. But we're missing a bunch of them. They're terrible, but if you just want them for collector's sake, that's there. Or casual play, that's cool. Roids are interesting to me. I mean, like, I talk about them every blue moon, but Roids have some cards that are really, really interesting. So these are cards based on manga covers. So these are cards that have been in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Manga. And, right, so, like, I want Cyrus to get some of these cards because they do, excuse me, Roids do have a couple of really, actually decent cards. The one field spell they have is actually really good. They have a really powerful counter trap that's insanely strong. They have Mixer Roid, which is a pretty good fusion monster, or a fusion potential card. And they just don't have really any way to make use of some of these really good cards. So I'd love to see them throw Cyrus on the cover of a main core set, or do something like Animation Chronicle, maybe in a Duelist pack. You go ahead and throw him another 7 cards in a Duelist pack in the next couple years, months, whatever. And I'd really love to see Cyrus get a chance to make Roids playable, because I remember loving Roids when I saw them for the first time. There's actually multiple here, right? Based on a manga panel, based on a manga cover, right? Like, all these cards are like based on this, you know what I mean? This is a fusion of those 3 that we just looked at, I think. And then this guy, fusion of other ones. Like, he has like a bunch of cards we've never seen. Like, come on. I'd love that. Missing a couple of Blackwings. This card is interesting. Let's see. This guy just gains attack. That's all he does. This guy doesn't matter, but I'm sure there are other Blackwing cards, and Blackwings are pretty close. They're a deck that can top regionals right now. They're not that far away. Then we get to this. We actually already have, I think, confirmation that this card's in the set. We just don't know exactly how they're going to, go about its effects. But it's a cool card. A cool boss monster exceed for 4 mages. You also get Quick Play. It's like a rank up card, and then Ancient Gear. Oh, that's Ancient Gear card. That could also be in there theoretically, because we already got the 1 Ancient Gear card shown off for the set. But yeah, statue cards. This is used by Roku, I think is his name. He uses statue cards. I guess he's training somebody in the show, kind of, and like he's got these statue cards. It's like a statue Blue Eyes and a statue Red Eyes. They kind of just summon to the field super easily and for free. So, and they do have Blue Eyes and Red Eyes in the name, so maybe they could actually be okay extenders for those individual archetypes. But yeah, other than that, they're not crazy. Bastion Misawa's Magnet Warrior cards. This is maybe a thing where they would take these guys and really, really change up their effects to actually be Magnet Warrior support. I would love that the most, because the way they work in the anime is not very good. They have like plus, they can either be like plus monsters or minus monsters, and they need to like pair up so they can do stuff, and otherwise they don't really do much. So I don't know, but new Magnet Warriors I'm always down for. I'd always love to see. Oh, there's a new archetype. I meant to move this over. Darkness archetype, a little weird. They have a bunch of like continuous traps in this archetype, and they get stronger and stronger depending on how many you have up. Some of them were not even the worst card effects I've ever seen for like anime trap cards, so that could be kind of cool. Swan Maiden, or just Valkyrie cards in general. This card's not particularly amazing, just summoning a Valkyrie from hand, but if they make that summon a Valkyrie from deck and then print a couple other Valkyrie cards, like maybe Valkyries could be kind of interesting. I don't know. That's definitely something I would take a look at. Amazon is called. This is basically like, what is this, defusion? Like it kind of like swaps a fusion monster out for the fusion materials in Grave and just resummon them. That's not the worst type of card, but apparently we're missing other ones as well, but this is just one of the ones I found. Amazon is, I think they do have some good tools, right? They have some good engine tools. They have a couple good extenders. They have 2 now decent monster searchers, and they have that 1 spell that's a pretty good consistency card as well. They have like all the consistency tools there. They just don't have payoff that like can win you games in modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! So if Konami would just give them like a legit win condition, I think they have some of the main deck tools to like get to that win condition. So hopefully Konami gets there eventually. And then a couple of volcanic cards to round us out. There's actually this one, Quick Play Spell. This is pretty interesting. Send any number of Pyro monsters from hand or grave to destroy that many spell or traps on the field. And then on the end phase, you draw cards equal to the number of cards sent for this card's activation. So you do redraw everything on end phase. It's a little slow, but, playing Volcanics, you may end up with some bricks in hand anyway. So having that quick play, back removal is not the worst thing. If they said destroy cards, this card would be insane, like actually, but we're okay. And the final card's Volcanic Mind. This card's even more crazy than the last one, for sure. It summons as many bomb tokens to your opponent's field in defense position until the end phase of your opponent's... until the end phase, your opponent's monsters cannot change battle position, and their effects are negated. During the end phase, destroy all bomb tokens. So this is like... the problem with this card is it's not skill drain. It can't be outed. Like this isn't a continuous that when you remove it, you're good to go. All your effects are alive. Once this resolved, it's like Harpy's Feather Duster. Like just no more monster effects on field, basically. Which is pretty insane. So I don't know if they would actually print this, especially when that archetype already has like an FTK and it works very well with Snake Eye. I don't know if they would print something like this, assuming it is searchable. But it is something that raises an eyebrow. Like, if they printed this, how would they go about making this effect like different or something? I have no idea. On top of that, we know this is probably, they confirmed this is an alt art for a silent swordsman or a silent magician. I can't remember which one he actually counts as. And then new Allure Queen, and of course the Performage Exceed monster we kind of saw up above, or sorry, below earlier. And yeah, I'm kind of excited. Animation Chronicle is never the most crazy set in the world, but I always go back and look at them and I'm like, dang, there were like 4 or 5 things in here that were like, dang. Transaction Rollback last year, Bonfire last year, just a straight up new Rhoda last year got printed. Like, there's stuff. There's real stuff in Animation Chronicle. The Earthbound Servants, like that archetype was legit like a little hot for a little bit when people were trying to make it rogue competitive, and it saw a couple of regional tops. So there's always stuff in these sets. So I'm really excited to see where they round it out here. Like I said, over 20 cards to go. Hopefully some of these things kind of come to fruition. There's so many archetypes that have still never been printed in the actual OCG and TCG. Such a shame that at most one of them will probably get picked here. I just hope it's a cool one and they do a decent job and at least do what they did last year and at least give it an archetype where you're like, can we cook with these? We might be able to cook with these and make it rogue-ish. That's all we're looking for. So I'm out here for today. I've rambled too long at the end of this video anyway. Thank you so much for watching as always. If there's anything else you guys didn't think of or didn't see the poll that you want to see in Animation Chronicle, throw it in the comment section down below. I love it. There's too many cards to for me to just research and see what the best things are. So if there's anything there, I'd love to see it from you guys. That's a way better chance of me actually seeing it and becoming hip to what we're missing. And then I can get hoping. But I'm out here for today. Thank you so much for watching as always, guys. Subscribe to the channel if you want to see more discussion videos like this one down the line. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace.